Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to LIBOR's Wednesday webinar. My name is Marianne Monteleone, and we're really super excited to have you with us today. And I am super excited about our guest today, who I'm going to tell you a little bit about. But thank you for joining us. I'm certain, absolutely guaranteed that you will not be disappointed in today's presentation. I know it's a beautiful Wednesday, but Betsy is absolutely worth it. So thank you for joining in today for our Wednesday webinar. Again, my name is Marianne, and LIBOR is happy to bring these helpful webinars to you each Wednesday. And all of them are recorded and hosted on LIBOR's COVID page, which I'll put in the chat later for you. So it's lirealtor.com/COVID. And the webinars, so that you can go back and repeat for anything that you missed, are there for you. So hi, Betsy, and welcome.
Hi, Marianne. Hi, everyone. Hi, thank you for inviting me. And I'm really, really grateful for this opportunity. I can't wait to teach you all about Zoom and virtual listings. Yep.
Great, Betsy. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Betsy Coyne is a technology educator and coach and has specialized in technology training for over 30 years. After 8 years of conducting systems training for corporate America, she started PC Mac Technology, training people from a variety of industries how to use and experience technology by learning application usability. As an international Zoom instructor, she has trained thousands of people how to connect, teach, and manage business in a virtual world. And in 2020, she created Technology for Real, an online learning academy for real estate professionals looking to incorporate technology into every aspect of their life in the business. As a member of the National Real Estate Educators Association, which we know is RIA in the industry, she contributes her Zoom experience in various committees and has completed RIA's gold standard instructor certification. And just before coming on, she told me that she was awarded the President's Award within RIA, which is really, really, there she is holding it up, really is such a coup to her. And she gives a lot of time. So Betsy will take us to the next level with Zoom. And without further delay, I turn it over to you. Welcome back, Betsy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that introduction. And I was sharing my award with her prior to coming on with all of you. And it's something I'm very proud of because I know this industry so well. And I'm so happy to see you here in this realm, which is a Zoom meeting, as opposed to the Zoom webinar, which I did with you last month, for those of you who were here for that. And the difference is, there's a difference. When you're in a webinar, you don't need to even think about or see your Zoom toolbar. But I asked Marianne ahead of time, I said, do you think we could do it in this realm? Because then I can really teach. If you're thinking, and I want to get you there, in your business of doing a virtual listing presentation and inviting people into a Zoom meeting with you, there are some features here. And today you can play along with me. I'd love for you to do so. So in your toolbar at the bottom of the screen, you see one of the buttons is the mute button. So right now, with the help of Ethan and Marianne running this meeting, there are some settings in place. So you may have entered the room and you were muted already, which is wonderful, because if you become unmuted, there is often background noise that can capture the attention and take away from the speaker. So what you're doing today, think about when you're running your same Zoom meeting and you want to have that same environment. The mute button can help you with that. You cannot mute other people or unmute other people. You have to ask them to unmute. And that's just like a privacy issue, but that's all in your settings as a host. The next button over is your start and stop video, and that controls your camera. So the webcam that is part of my computer is controlled by that button down there. So if you were to go in and click stop video, if that's what yours says, then your camera would go off temporarily. If you are joining us here today and your camera is off because you've decided that, and as I look around, I can look around the gallery view, and I'm going to get to that when I talk a little bit more about how can you see my presentation and also see everybody that's in the room. Because right now my screen, my presentation is taking up most of the screen. So you don't see that normal sort of Hollywood Squares mode or what we say like Brady Bunch mode with all the video thumbnails, but you might be able to see yourself. You most likely see me as the speaker, and then you most likely may see yourself. If you don't just yet, don't worry about it. But if that button down there says start video, then that's how your camera starts. And at some point, a little bit later, when we get to the view, and so that you can actually change the view, I would love to for you to find yourself on the screen, because as you see you is how I see you. So when you are in a business presentation and want to come off professionally, how you see yourself is how your potential clients or your current clients and customers see you. So that's extremely important, is the start and stop video. So feel free to turn on your video. I won't call you out unless you have a question, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment of how you would do that. And we're going to handle the questions in the chat. The chat button is located also in your Zoom toolbar. That's across the bottom. And in the chat, you can type questions that you might have. I will answer them. I'll stop periodically and ask Marianne if we have any questions in the chat. You can also, I want you to think about the chat when you are in control of the meeting and you're handling it for business purposes. I want you to think of it as a way to talk to the prospective buyer or seller, and a way of having a conversation. And sometimes people use the chat as a paper trail. And how can you do that? Well, if you've asked questions in the chat and asked them to put maybe their legal name, how they would want it on the contract, or it could be anything. There's a button in the bottom right corner. You can see I'm highlighting it on the screen right now. It's a button with 3 dots. And when you click those 3 dots, you get the prompt to save the chat. Yes, you can save the chat. The chat is just a text file. Think of it like a word processing file, like you would see in Word or any kind of word processor like that. Very plain text, but it's a file. You get that. You could print it out and have it. So saving the chat is that's a nice nugget right there. Another tool in your toolbar is called reactions. And the reactions button is a little bit further down to the right. I want you to locate it and go ahead and click it, to give it a single click, and you'll see this little box opens up. Now, oftentimes we use our phones to express our emotions using emojis, and Zoom got on board with that. So they said, you know what, while a presentation is going on, someone in your audience can express emotion, and I would like you to do that now. You can see in the first row there's applause, there's thumbs up. Do you have thumbs up for me yet, or applause, or maybe love? You can click on the heart. And when you do that, we can all look around. And if you see the video thumbnails on your screen, those little video squares, there's also one for laughter and surprise and celebration. And if you just click a button that you want, your little emoji will appear on your video square. And then after about 6 seconds, it disappears. So it's temporary. It doesn't stay on there. There is 3 dots at the end of that box there. And yes, that gives you yet the whole listing of emojis. So just like you most likely see on your phone, Zoom got on board and said, hey, we want to give you everything. So you can even find all of the other smiley faces in there as well. Why would you do that? Well, if you are now, if you've never used that before, if you are participating in your next Zoom meeting, you can provide some sort of feedback without unmuting yourself. That's a reaction. Now, directly underneath there, though, there's a row of 4 buttons, and one is a green circle. locate it, please. And one is a red circle. The green circle is if you were going to respond yes. And the red circle is as if you were going to respond no. Well, what would you be responding to? If I were to ask you a question, like, for instance, did anybody try the heart emoji button? And if you want to click yes, you would click on the green circle. And then as I look around, that comes up. Yes, I'm going to ask you a series of questions as we're coming up, and you can respond yes. And without even unmuting yourself, I can look around and see who's finding it. And I can also see on some video squares that green circle stays permanent, that's normal. It stays on the screen. You would have to click it again. Go ahead and try that to have it turn off. So these are all fun ways to engage your audience by asking them questions, and they don't necessarily have to unmute. Now, I know if you're doing a virtual listing, you might be in the room with a few people. You might want to have that conversation like you're sitting around the kitchen table, and you could certainly have people unmute themselves and have the conversation that way. But if you wanted to give a presentation with the photos in your maybe your PowerPoint slide, and you wanted to have this type of feedback, nonverbal feedback, these are ways that you can do that. And then finally, in the last row of the reactions, there is that raise hand. And if you click it, now I do see 2 people have raised hands right now. So I'm going to go to Beverly. Beverly, do you have a question? If so, go ahead and unmute yourself. Now, in order to unmute yourself, go ahead and click the unmute button in your toolbar. Oh, and if you didn't have a question, you were just playing around, that's fine too. This is a great time. I see you. There you go, you got it.
Right. I have no question.
That's fine. You go ahead and mute yourself back. This does bring up a good shortcut for everybody to jot down. If you want to quickly unmute yourself, you can hold down the space bar on your keyboard. That's a great shortcut. You can just hold it down, kind of like the days of when we had walkie-talkies. I don't know, anybody in here remember that with me? You hold down the button, and while you're holding the button, you could talk. So on your computer, and it is for the computer, not for the mobile devices. If you're joining this meeting today from, let's say, a tablet, it wouldn't be for that. It would be for a computer. So you would hold down the space bar, and you could just try it. You can hold it down. And as I look around, I can see your mute button will temporarily come off. That's a great one, because then it's like I have to find my mouse, I have to find my unmute, and then I'm done talking, and then I have to mute back. Now for Beverly, if you want to turn off your raised hand, you can just go ahead and click the raise hand button again. If you can't find it, I, as your host, can lower it for you, which I just did. Emmanuel, and then Brian and Lisa and Eileen and Eureka. And so what's happening is as you raise your hand, you are moved in my list. So when you are giving the presentation and you want to see the people who have raised hands, the raise hand button does that. It moves people in that order. Now I'll give you the opportunity here to lower your hand if you were just practicing, that's what I want. I want you to try it. And then click it again, and the hand will go down. And then those who still have it up, I'll call on you if you have a question. So I'll just give you a few seconds to try it and turn it off. That's really what coming to learn is all about, is being able to have hands on and try it. So Emmanuel, do you have a question? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
No, I was just playing around.
Okay, I love it. So I love it. So I'm going to go ahead and lower your hand for you, make it easier. Lisa, do you have a question? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
I do. I'm just wondering why I don't have those 3 buttons after the little celebration emoji. Maybe I need to update this. I don't know.
Yes, Lisa, you do. That's a perfect question. So after the meeting's over, if you notice that some of your screens or buttons are not exactly the same as what my demonstration is, go ahead and update your Zoom. And you can do that from your Zoom desktop application, the one that's loaded on your computer, or you can go to Zoom's website and it's a free download. They just give you the new version. Right now, I think it's version 5.7, something like that. If you're on Windows, similar if you're on Mac. Okay, you're welcome.
How are we
And
able
then-
to identify which one we have?
Oh, good question. So to identify, I don't know who asked that, if that was Brian or
No, that
which
was
is
not Brian.
Vincent,
okay,
Vincent.
which is fine. To know which version you have currently, I'm just going to do this quickly just so I can get to some of the other things we're talking about today. But to see what version you have, there is a tiny little green shield in the upper left corner of your screen. If you're on a computer, I'll speak from there. If you're on a mobile device, you'll have to ask in the chat and I'll have to answer those at the end if you have specific questions. But you would want to click on that tiny little green shield. And after you click on the tiny little green shield, there is a window that pops up. It tells you what meeting you're in. It tells you the meeting ID, all of that information. And then in the top right corner of that little box that opened up, there is a gear. It looks like a flower, but it's a gear, very similar to a lot of computer applications have this gear for settings. And when that opens up, it opens up for the Zoom settings, and it tells you in there along the statistics side of the screen what version you're in. So that's a way to tell what version you have. And then Brian, what question do you have? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Actually, I don't have a question. I have a comment. The reaction buttons that you were speaking of, and then the subsequent row of yes or no, or faster or slower, or raise hand or anything, are not on my screen either. So I explored around and they're actually on the participants icon. So
Okay.
for people who are using Windows 10 with, at least I thought was the latest version of Zoom, but it may not be. If you click where it says participants in the center bottom of your screen, you'll see those additional ellipses for the additional icons and the yes, no, and all that other stuff.
Okay, thank you. And if you're on a, thank you, Brian, there are a couple of ways that could vary. And if it's in your participants, first of all, if it's not where mine is, then you should definitely check out the participants list. As Brian mentioned, there are a couple reasons. Your Zoom might not be updated, as he mentioned. You might be here on a Chromebook. If you're here on a Chromebook or on a Windows Surface, I have found those to be different. And if you're on a tablet, definitely if you're joining us today on a tablet or a phone, then the reactions are located in different areas. So thank you for that. And moving right along, as he mentioned, Brian mentioned the participants list. That's another button across the bottom of the screen when you're on a computer. And the participants, let me just go back there a second. In the participants list, when you click there, it gives you a listing of everyone's names who are here today. So if you ever desire, first of all, as the host, that's very helpful if I want to see everyone's names. And it is a separate window that floats there. You know, it's floating. So if it's something if I want to view off the corner of my eye, I can do that and see who is here. I do see we have a few more people in the waiting room, so I can see that as a co-host or a host. And I know Ethan's here and Marianne are here taking care of that. So anybody who is joining today, you went into the waiting room first. Well, as a host or co-host, we can see that in the participants list. Other than that, everybody else listed, I can see who's muted, unmuted, and you're listed with yourself first, and then the host, and then the co-hosts. That's usually what you see. And then everybody else is listed there, not alphabetically. You're usually listed how you entered the meeting. So that is the participants list. You can, if it's floating on your screen, it has a little X or a little red dot, depending on your Windows or Mac, and you can close it from there. You can also rename yourself in the participants list if you needed to, if your name came up incorrectly. Now I have a question for you. So based on those reaction buttons that we covered, the green for yes, the red for no, I would like to know today, who is joining us today using two computer screens? So are you using two computer screens? Give me a green circle for yes or a red circle for no. And that could be two or more. So some people do their business with multiple computer screens. And as I look around, I can see how you're answering. So thank you for contributing. I can also see in my participants list, which gives me a tally. So I can see there's mostly no's and only a few yeses. And that's good for me to know. So thank you for participating. The reason why I ask is this: how you view a Zoom meeting depends on whether you're viewing it on one computer screen or whether you have an extra computer monitor hooked up. And so I want to talk a little bit to this, and I can see most of you here have one computer monitor. So I'm going to speak to that. I'll speak a little bit about what happens when you have a second one, and you could certainly put that in the chat if you have a question about what happens when I use two monitors and where does everything go. Well, you see in the upper right corner of your screen, please locate the view button. The view button, it looks just like my demonstration here on the screen. When you click it, you get one of these two options. Now, you'll most likely get the option on the left because most of you here have one computer monitor. So your computer is prompting you about side-by-side speaker mode or side-by-side gallery mode. And I want to teach you that. You see, right now you are in receiving of my screen sharing. I'm sharing my screen with you. I have a PowerPoint going on. If you were to, and you could click around and try this from the view menu that you just revealed, click on side-by-side gallery and look what happens. My PowerPoint slide is on one screen, and then a gallery strip of about, it depends on the size of your monitor, maybe 5 people, maybe 6 people, is down the right with you at the top, and then the speaker, actually with the speaker at the top, and then you underneath. You might see the person with the raised hand at the top as well. Only the co-host may see that. So depending on who you are in a meeting, that can vary. So you might want to see the gallery, all the people who are in attendance. If you wanted just to see me, the speaker, then go back up to view and click on side-by-side speaker. And that's exactly what happens. I stay on the right, just the speaker, the person making the noise. Could be anybody. If you were unmuted or somebody becomes unmuted and you cough or your dog barks or you move your chair or the phone rings, then you'll pop up as the speaker because your sound will come into play into the meeting. Finally, if you go up to view again and choose standard, what standard does is it separates the side-by-side feel of having my PowerPoint slide on the screen and the people. And you'll see that the people might be floating on the screen in a separate window. And that window lets you control, at the top, there's a series of buttons and you can control how many people you see. Now, finally, as you see on my slide, if you click on view, there is one more option I want you to see, which is about full screen. Are you in full screen or not? These are all features that I'd love for you to try out and realize that you're in control of how you view this Zoom meeting. So you can exit full screen if that's what it says. And sure enough, your Zoom window gets a little smaller. And why would you do that? Well, sometimes you need to get over to maybe your internet browser, or you're going to show a website and you wanted to go Google it, while the meeting is going on, maybe somebody else is speaking. And so sometimes people tell me, Betsy, where's my Zoom? Where's my browser? Where's my Google? How do I get back to that? All I see is my Zoom meeting. And that's maybe because you're in full screen. So this view menu helps you to do that. So let me just pause here and take some questions. Marianne, do we have any questions in the chat?
Yes.
Okay, so if you have a bit of feedback, let me just speak to that a second. If you
Yeah.
do if you do get a bit of feedback, that just comes from you might be attending this meeting on 2 devices. Possibly you joined on your phone and then you're also on your computer because that was comfortable for you. If so, you need to disconnect audio on one of them. That's why feedback happens, because, or if any of you are in an office with each other, that could happen too. If you're sitting in the same office beside someone and you're both listening to me, somebody has to disconnect their audio. And I don't mean just muting, I mean disconnecting. It's actually the arrow next to the mute button. So that's why that happens. Let me take some questions. Jennifer, do you have a question for me? Go ahead and use your mute button in the tool. There you go.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
With the side-by-side gallery, when I click on the, first of all, it's already checked. So I can't uncheck it or do anything. Even if I try to go to the standard, nothing is happening.
Same here.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, the one that is checked is the one that you are in.
Yes.
So right now, when you go to view, tell me which one is checked, just as you look at it now, which one's checked?
Okay, it's still at side-by-side gallery.
That's the one that has a check mark?
Yeah, no, yes.
It does. Okay, so that's telling you that you're in that mode right now. And if you click it again, nothing will happen because you're in it already. So nothing is meant to change.
Okay.
And that's why. If you wanted to switch to a different one, click on one that's not checked and see if anything changes. And sometimes the changes are just the number of people. Like I might just be there rather than everybody else.
Right. Nothing changes.
Nothing changes. Okay. When you go back to view, does it say full screen or does it say exit full screen?
No, it's still at full screen, side-by-side gallery.
Okay. If you go ahead and I don't mean to go through this now with you, we can certainly stay after at the end if we have time. But if you were to go into full screen, which means click on the word full screen, these are buttons that make it happen. So when you click on full screen, you go full screen. And then you might see some differences. It all depends on how big your monitor is, how the size of it, and so on. I'm just glad you're knowing where the buttons are. Yeah. And then some of this working it out with you, we can do at the end.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Hi,
And
Betsy.
yes, hi, what's your question?
This is Ann Fitzgerald.
Yes, hi, Ann. What question do you have for me?
I have the same problem. I'm clicking on full screen. It's not moving.
Clicking on full screen and it looks like nothing's happening?
No.
And then when you go back to view, does it now say exit full screen?
No, it says side-by-side gallery still.
Oh, okay. Let me try something. I just thought of something. Let me change my slide. Okay. I want to make sure you're not clicking on my slide, that you're clicking on your view button. So now that you don't see mine, I want you to locate your view button in the upper right corner. Upper right corner. Now you're going to be clicking on yours. It's very possible that my slide was being deceiving and you thought you had to click on my image rather than yours. And now see if you get a different reaction.
No, it's giving me no, it's just saying that how to present your listing. It's not telling. Yeah.
I'm sorry, just repeat that again. It's telling you how to present what?
Your listing. How to present your listing visual using Zoom.
Oh. Okay.
No, she must have, I'm sorry, she probably closed her window.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's possible. You
look
might
down
not
at the bottom for the video, the little blue video.
Yeah, Anne, that's a good point, Laureen. You may not be in. Do you see me, Anne, on your screen?
Yes, I can see you.
Betsy,
Okay.
Actually, Betsy, that's working now with me. I can switch from gallery to standard, etc., etc.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And Anne, it may be that your Zoom window has gotten very, very small. So just hang out there. I want to get through some more of the content so I can talk to you about sharing screen. And then if you want to hang out at the end, I can certainly help you with it. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. And then is it Eileen? Do you have a question?
Hi, Betsy. Thanks for doing this for us all. Hello, everyone. My question is it possible that some of the things you're suggesting we try, for example, pressing on the space bar did not, and I did it several times, unmute me. And I don't have the 3 dots, and I'm thinking perhaps that's because I'm on a Chrome browser. I'm on a MacBook Air, but I'm on a Chrome browser. Could that be the problem?
No, it's not. So if you're using a MacBook Air, it's not that. There is a series of settings. So if that shortcut's not working, once again, I don't know if I'll have time for everybody's question, these individual questions at the end, but there is a setting in your Zoom application, not the web part, but the application. There's a program that's actually residing on your Mac. And that's when Lorraine said earlier, you click on that little blue video icon, and it actually goes to the application. And I can even,
I know how to do all that. I can figure that out.
so
Okay.
there's a setting in there for allowing your space bar to control the mute and unmute. So
Got it. Thank you.
that would be, good question though. That would be where to look.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome. So you can see a lot of these things I'm teaching are really good to try, because you might be finding out that yours for some reason isn't responding. And I just love the fact that people are trying the raise hand and then they're unmuting themselves. And this is all a part of the process. The next question I had for you is about sharing your screen. So we step a little bit further into, all right, not necessarily as a participant today, but think about you're going to be in this seat and you're going to be presenting to that prospective buyer, or maybe you want to have a listing presentation for multiple people. And how is that going to work? So I'm curious, using the reactions again, green for yes, red for no. Are you comfortable and confident? This is just a straight up question. And if you're thinking and saying, Betsy, I've never shared screen at all. So your answer would be no. I don't have any confident level because I've never tried it. That's fine. I would love to know that. If you have done it before, if you have a PowerPoint and you got into a Zoom meeting and you click share screen and up came your PowerPoint like I'm doing today, I want to know that. These are the things. I don't know each of you individually. It's one of the things I do in my business is I do work with people, groups and one-on-one, and I love to get to know what you're doing. So as I look at the responses, thank you so much for letting me know. It's about half and half. Good to know. And what does that mean? Sharing your screen. Well, before I actually show you the slides and how to, I always talk about how to prepare to screen share. And that starts with not starting your Zoom meeting. What does it start with? It starts with quitting all of the unnecessary applications, quitting them. You're thinking, what? I have to quit everything? Yes. I would prefer you to do this like the day before your listing presentation. And that's because if you're in your email and your email's going and you've been on the web and your Chrome browser is going crazy and you've been doing different searches and you've got, possibly the MLS website up. And I work with lots of people that I know this takes a lot of resources. So if that's all happening, you're going to quit all of those first. That's step one. Step two is you're going to only open what's necessary for the Zoom meeting. I know that says for class, I teach instructors as well, but if that's for your listing presentation, I only want you to open PowerPoint if that's you, or Google Slides if that's you, or maybe just the internet browser if you're gonna demonstrate from there. You're only opening what's necessary. And then step three is to start your Zoom meeting. Maybe opposite what you thought. But when you prepare that way, your computer will feel good. I might even want you the day before, restart your computer, save everything, restart your computer. Your computer is always happier when you turn it off completely and you shut it down overnight. So once you've prepared to screen share And now you've started your Zoom meeting. What's going to happen? Well, as I'm demonstrating on the screen now, you're going to click that green button that's in your toolbar. Yes, everybody has it. It's not working for you today because I'm the one screen sharing, but you will have this button. And when you click there, up comes a series of choices as I'm demonstrating. Now I've mocked this up a bit. You can see the smiley face in the first row for desktop. It doesn't really look like that, but I wanted you to get a visual of what choices will you have. And the choices are going to be what you just prepared. So if you just opened up the necessary applications, that's what's going to be available. Nothing else is going to be available. You do have this option in the bottom left corner to share computer sound, which I'm highlighting right now, the bottom left corner. That's very important. When you click there, you're going to be able to share whatever sound, not your voice, but I mean sound from a video. Maybe you're showing a video from a website or even showing a YouTube video. You can do that through Zoom. You need to click that check mark because if it plays here in my room here, and I haven't checked that, the sound will not come through the Zoom meeting. So you need to be able to check that. The other checkbox, which is for optimizing, everybody thinks they have to optimize because it sounds so good. Wouldn't we want to optimize? I'm going to put a circle on this for now, like not necessarily. And that's because if you're using PowerPoints with lots of text, maybe a bio of you, maybe the listings in the area with the addresses and maybe days on the market and all that text that goes on your slides, sometimes when you optimize, it garbles your text. Optimizing is really for maybe higher level video. So don't worry, these are things that you can turn on and turn off, but I wanted to bring your attention to it. So all you would do is you would pick that PowerPoint with the listing presentation in it, and then you'd click share, and then off you go. Your PowerPoint shows up on the screen. This is what it would look like. And up at the top, you would have this extra bar, and there's a little green rectangle as I'm pointing to, and it says you are screen sharing. That's how you know. And there's a frame around what you're sharing. So there's no need to say, do you see my screen? As I tell a lot of people, try not to ask that question because we want to come across as we're in control of the meeting and that we're sure of ourselves. Now, if you're new to this and you're unsure, then what you can do is you can join the meeting like I've done today with a second device. You could do that. And I see what you see because it's right here on my other computer. That's one way. You could join from a mobile device and you just join your meeting from another device, which is possible, or just using the cues on the screen as I'm showing you. That green bar does say you're screen sharing, or you can say to your audience, as you can see on this slide, showing you the main entrance to the house or whatever. So you can, as you see on my screen, and then they will tell you if they don't see it. So these are some tips. Now I'm going to switch gears a little bit here. What happens when you need to share something else? Well, there is a button then that says new share. And when you click there, up come the choices again. And you'd think, well, what would I want to share? And if you have opened up maybe a PDF of the listing agreement, maybe that's something that it's not meant to sign during the meeting. It's not meant for that, but maybe you're just talking through it with a potential buyer or seller. So there are documents out there that you might want to be going over with them. Any documents, they can be brought up on your screen as a PDF. And then that would be one of your choices if you prepared to screen share ahead of time. So now you're just picking it, you're picking share, and then you're going right back in, and that's what will be on the screen. I'm going to bring you to yet another example. So lots of different examples here. We're kind of brainstorming, right? When you're in a meeting, what could you do? Well, one way would be to use your PowerPoint as your virtual background. Yes, use your PowerPoint slides as your virtual background. So you would not see my room here. You would actually see the photographs in the presentation. And this is how you would do it. You would click new share, and then you see at the top, I've clicked on advanced. That's where this option is located. Everybody's like, oh, I never even knew that was there. And it's there, it's been there the whole time under advanced. So when you click on advanced, you get these choices. And you're like, what? There are these other choices there? Yes. I'm going to show you this one, slides as virtual background. And it's so funny. It says beta on there. Beta is a term that Zoom is using for like, we're just trying this out, folks. And they've been trying it out for about 10 months. So I'm assuming it's here to stay because it's been there a while already, but that's why it still says beta. All of the other ones there are all types of advanced screen share. And I'm not going to go through them today with you based on the time we have together, but they are all different uses where you can use a document camera, you can just share your video or a portion of the screen. And then when you click share, you get prompted for the files on your computer. So I'm giving you an example here. I have a folder, it opens up, and in there are my PowerPoints, and I pick it and I click open. And this is what happens. Your PowerPoint opens up, like I've just given you a mock-up of a PowerPoint. And then at the bottom are the arrows to go through your slides. And that actually is the background of your presentation. So before we go into breakout rooms here, I am going to stop my share. I'm going to clear the yeses and nos. Thank you so much for your feedback. And I'm going to demonstrate from my other device here. I'm going to turn off my video on this computer. So here I'm doing a live demonstration. I'm going to turn on my video from this one. So you can see here, I'm here as two devices. Here I am. So when I click on PowerPoint as virtual background, which you don't see now, but I'm doing exactly what I just demonstrated. This is what you see. See, here I am. And you can move yourself around the screen if you want to. There are arrows at the bottom for me to move from slide to slide. I can keep myself in the bottom if I want, but look how gorgeous this is with, I mean, if you had, look, I just brought in stock photos and you could go through every picture in the home if you wanted to. And here I am. Hi, I'm a little virtual background. So that's how you would use your PowerPoint as the virtual background. This is what it would look like. It's a very different look, but it's quite nice. And you can actually make yourself somewhat smaller if you don't want to be the main focus. And you can just be this little person talking in the corner. So I wanted to demonstrate what that would look like as the PowerPoint as your virtual background. And there are some things that some people have tried that would make it work or not work. Here I am, a couple of clicks and I'm back to you. You don't want to use a PowerPoint that has animation. Don't use a PowerPoint where the text flies in and out all the time. That's the only thing.
Betsy, excuse me, can I ask you something? Unless I'm missing something, I didn't see you on that. I saw you on the side. I didn't see you floating around the PowerPoint.
You didn't see me virtually?
No. Did anybody else?
Yeah, I saw it.
I saw it.
She
I
did.
saw you
yeah, I
on the
saw it.
right.
She moved
Okay, then it's my
picture.
computer. Okay.
So let's use the, I'm just curious. Good question, Laureen. Use the yes and no. If you saw me virtually with the bathroom and the bedroom, I was like a little image in the bottom right corner. Give me a yes. And if you didn't, give me a no. So that's a perfect example. Thank you for asking, Laureen, because did you hear that when everybody unmuted? And it's very hard to hear who said yes and who said no. So great teaching moment that I can use that. If you want, I do see most yeses. So I'm gonna think, do you have two monitors, Laureen? No. Yeah, I don't.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'll have to work it out with you at the end. It could be that I don't know. It could, I'll just do it again. And before we get off, I know we're, I just want to talk a little bit about breakout rooms before we have to finish. So when you break out, so breakout rooms, this is what sets Zoom apart from the rest. All right. You would be beamed into a breakout room. That means that you leave this main meeting room and you go into individual rooms. Now, I did have we're a little pressed for time. So I want to show you what the screens look like. And then I'm going to swing back. And if we have time, I will actually open up a breakout. But this is what the host sees. In order to break out into breakout rooms, you're asked, do you want to break them out automatically, which is mathematically. So I have about 65 of you here. There's about 4 of us who are running it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, 60 people who are in attendance. And I can just say mathematically. So I can say, I'd like 50 rooms, and it'll put 1 or 2 people in each room. Boom, that's automatically. The other way is manually. Manually means, okay, Zoom, give me 10 rooms, and then let me pick the people who go into each room. And then finally, let the participants choose. This is great if you're going to have a state of the market or, a listing presentation where you want to have each room is maybe for a different listing. That's possible if you had someone to go into the room to lead it for you. You can actually provide people the names of each room, and then they can pick. You're not sending them there. They're picking from a menu. So Zoom lets you pick one of those options. I usually pick automatically, which is this manual way. And this is exactly what the screen looks like. You pick it, you pick create. And then this is what I see. I see a listing. This was a screenshot, so this is not actually happening today, but it tells me that the rooms can be renamed. They can be opened. I can send you there automatically, which are these settings. I can allow you to return to this main meeting room at any time. So I can either make it so that everybody can move about and go from room to room, if that's the type of event you want to create, or I could leave that option off and make it so that when you go into your room, you stay there for the entirety. And then when you come out, then we continue our discussion. And some people have asked me about this, and they said, wait a minute, I could have the potential buyers or sellers in another room, and they could be talking and they can have a private conversation because I can't hear what's in there. So I'm in the main meeting room and they're in the breakout room, and that can happen. Yes. So I want you to envision like you're in a hotel conference arena where we right now are in the main ballroom, and there are these other little rooms off to the side, and that's what the breakout rooms are. And so they all have doors, and when you go in there, you can't hear. And as the host, there is this countdown, 60-second countdown, which takes place when I close the rooms. So everybody is prompted, and it says, you have 60 seconds left, and you can decide to come now, or you can wait and finish your conversation. So what I like to do is I like to automatically move you. I do have a few minutes right now to do it. So I am going to do that. I'm going to move you into a breakout room for a minute, just so I know you came to class with me today and you learned. You are going to be, if you get this prompt, I'm going to turn it off so that you will not have to click join. I find that it is easier and quicker. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to break you up into a series of rooms. You're going to have a few people in each room. And when you get there, you're going to ask your room participant. You're going to ask your room participant or participants how they plan on using breakout rooms for listings. And I'm going to automatically move you. And at the count of 3, I'm only going to be in there for a minute or 2 so you can experience it. It's the best. So have a good time. Talk to your room buddy or buddies. And then when you come on back, I'd love to share just some of the ideas as we wrap up. All right, here we go. Have a good time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I guess for the recording, I know Ethan, you're still here with me. Sometimes for the recording, what I do is I talk about what's happening because the recording is still going on. So sometimes I do that for the recording. Everybody right now is in their Zoom room, their breakout room. And I like taking this screenshot of what I see so that I can show them when they come back in. And that's what I'm going to do. And I only need them to be there for about a minute. Excellent. And then I'm going to tell them you have 2 minutes to go. And I give them, I can do that. I can broadcast a message. And then what I usually do is I set a timer on my phone for the 1 minute because I just gave them a 2-minute warning. And at the end of 1 minute, I can then close all rooms, which they will see. So right now they're in rooms and they are talking amongst themselves. You can see we're in the main meeting room. We can't hear anything that's going on, but they're having their conversations. And so when I go to close the rooms, they now will get that 60-second timer so that they can finish their conversation and then come on back. And that's what we're going to do. And I see there is a person who entered the waiting room. So that would be for you, Ethan.
Yeah, will they, should I let them in or wait until they all come back from the breakout room?
That's a good point. You can let them in now. I'm going to close all rooms.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll admit them.
I'll speak to them if they come in here. We'll tell them what's happening. Yeah.
There we go.
There you go. Hi, Tanya. Welcome. We are just finishing a breakout room session. So if you're just joining us, hi, everybody. Welcome back.
Hi, Betsy. I got locked out. That's why I have to go back in.
Yeah, that's okay. Sometimes, Tanya, what happens, and I'll say it to the whole group as you come back, you can see everybody's sort of trickling back in because as the 60-second countdown timer is timing out, everybody is finishing their conversations in the room. And you can either leave when you see it, or you can wait. And at the end of the 60 seconds, it'll dump you out. What sometimes happens is that if your internet connection is a little wonky, then it might boot you out of the meeting, which may have been what happened. So the breakout room meant to send you in there, but unfortunately you got sent out. So
yeah, Betsy, I came back. My person was there, but didn't unmute or, so he didn't talk. So I don't know if John has actually heard me or not, but I had a whole conversation by myself.
I see. Oh, I see. Oh, sorry about that. Well, what you did get the experience, and welcome back, everyone. I would love for someone who had a good experience. They got in there, they spoke to a buddy. Anybody want to just share one thing that they learned or one way that you see yourself using breakout rooms for virtual listings?
I don't mind sharing it. Andy Thaw, hi, how are you?
Hi, Andy.
I'm doing a lot of teaching here at Library as well, besides being in the industry. And I never really did the breakout room because I do see where it definitely can be useful. And what happened was I was in a NISAR thing 2 weeks ago, and we were in a breakout room. We were put into them just kind of what you did. So I'm just curious, like, can you prove, once you see the attendees there, when did you set it up so that you knew who was going to go into what room? Did you preordain that, if you will? Or when did you actually set that up?
You know what?
Yes. Okay, good question. So I was, and I also wanted to gather from you how you would see using this for business purposes. But before, you want to go ahead and share that first, and then
go ahead.
While I was talking to you and saying I'm going to break you out automatically, and I was actually saying I'm going to make about 20 rooms and you're going to have about 1 to 2 people. I didn't want 2 to 3 people in each room. As I was saying that verbally, I saw the screen that I showed you in my PowerPoint, and I was just clicking the number of rooms button. That's all. So I didn't pre-assign anything. Ethan has access to the account prior to us opening this meeting today. And he asked me that. He said, would you like to pre-assign people to rooms? And that is an option. It's a little tricky in that the email that you give ahead of time must match perfectly to the email you join the meeting with in order for the breakout room to match up perfectly. But I usually tell people to, if you can, have a helper with you in the meeting who can, I'm a co-host, Ethan's the host right now. There's only one host. And as I'm doing the talking, let's say, he could have been setting up the rooms with just a few clicks. And that's it doesn't take much time, but you know, part of learning this, you can see the screen that I've shared with you right now is an actual screenshot. I took that screenshot while you were in the rooms. It's only a portion of the screen, but you can see room 1, room 2, room 3, room 4. There was room 5, room 6, room 7. It went on from there, but next to each room is the number of people who are in each room. And then I could have moved people around. So when you come back to me, I do this all the time with people. So if Marianne and I discuss, you know, maybe we'll have another like a brainstorming breakout rooms, you know, that would be a great stepping stone, right? If we were to spend a whole hour on this, there are things that you would do creatively. And I would maybe visit each room and see, oh, somebody was off camera and they were off mic. I could move them to another room and to put the two people talking together.
Sure. One of the thoughts that I was thinking is that on one of the subject matters that I teach, I can see, I do a lot of live role playing. So if we did a live role playing situation where let's assume we have a topic that I'm teaching, where let's say we're 60 people in the class now. Can I then assign, let's say I want to assign 3 people, hey guys, why don't you go create a scenario? I'm going to put you into your room by yourselves. We're going to continue on. We'll have you come back and then we do a live role play that they created. So I can see doing that on an ongoing basis.
Yes, definitely. Yep. For live role plays, you know, you're in an education role. So definitely it's wonderful for that. It's wonderful for marketing your business. You can have people come in and have them go into rooms where you're providing different information that you don't want to do with everybody here in the main meeting room. So lots of ways you can have people feel free to speak out in a breakout room where they don't feel free to do that here. So
we also use this to drive buyers. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's assume we had buyers or whoever your audience is that maybe have a breakout room to go look at, to go speak to other agents, depending on what they're doing as well. So I guess I'd love to study more about the breakout rooms to know more.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite topics, I have to say. And like I said, there's a lot of virtual platforms out there. It's the breakout rooms that really sets Zoom apart from the rest.
I see that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll provide these slides to Marianne. And if you're curious on the trivia, I know we're just about at the top of the hour, but there is a little bit of requirements or prerequisites. If you're really thinking, oh, I'm going to use that, you might not need to know what I know, which is breaking out people who are in large groups. You know, you might be in the realm of, no, Betsy, I'm going to have smaller groups. So I may just need to know that I have to be on my computer. And that is one of the requirements. You have to do this from a computer in order to be able to create the breakout rooms. You cannot create them from a phone or tablet. You can certainly attend from a phone or tablet, but you can't create them. So anyway, there have been some wonderful questions today. I'd love to, this is my contact information. Please take a screenshot if you'd like. I'm always in this realm of teaching technology and helping people with Zoom, especially as I become an expert. But I'd love to open it up for Q&A. I know we are at the hour. So Marianne, do you want to tell me any questions that have appeared in the chat? Or I see Vincent, you have a question?
I do, a couple questions. Thank you very much. It was a good session, as a matter of fact. But to do the breakouts room, does that come with the free version or do you have to buy the version?
Very good. Okay, comes with the free. You can do it with the free, but you are limited on the 40-minute limit.
40 minutes. Now, also, when you do the breakouts and you want to create a topic for each one, is that something evidently should be done in advance? And where do you do that at?
Okay, so you cannot do that in advance.
Oh.
So and I mean in advance, like before the meeting started. So you would have to start the meeting, like maybe you get in there 20 minutes early, right? You can go in now there's nobody in the room, Vincent, but you can go to that screen that was in my PowerPoint earlier where you saw rename, and you can give each room a name. There's nobody present yet, so there's nobody to break out yet, but you can put the names in. And then when it's time, everybody joins the meeting, then you can click the breakout rooms button and you can assign people to the rooms or choose the option, let them choose. So you can at least get some of the legwork done ahead of time and, and then, but
When you
the
break out
assigning
rooms,
people.
there's usually a workshop and there's a topic. So can you type in the topic that group's going to handle, or you have to verbally communicate that before they get into the groups?
The breakout room name, oops, sorry, the
Not that
breakout room.
Like, let's say you want them to work on a particular topic, each group.
Yeah.
Does that get written into the room, so to speak? I'm entering room number 3, and the topic for room number 3 is handling sellers' objections, let's say, and tired 2 is another topic, similar to what Andy was mentioning before. Can you preset that, or do you have to do it on the fly?
You can preset that. So here, let me, I'm just gonna, for the sake of our discussion here, I will just show you this. And then I would think that it sounds like for those of you who want to know more about breakout rooms, we definitely could, I talked to Marianne about something done in the future, or I do a lot of this through my business too. But the one that I'm showing you here, do you see at the top it says handling? I know you don't see the whole name, but as you were talking, I went up there and I clicked rename and I typed in handling sellers' objections. So now when you would get a menu to go join a room, you would see that as the name, not room 1.
Okay.
And you could pick. So you would have a menu. Today, I sent you to where I thought you should go, but you would use the other option, which is let them choose. And then they would have those options up there.
Okay, thank you.
Betsy,
Yep.
I have a question. This is Tanya.
Yes.
I have a MacBook and I don't seem to have the green screen or the background. Does it work for you? Because my MacBook doesn't give me the background.
Yes, good question, Tanya. Just because you have a Mac doesn't mean that the computer is has the ability to do the virtual background. If you saw in my demonstration today, I'm on a Mac right now. I'm looking into the camera of a Mac. When I did the virtual background with you with my PowerPoint, I turned to my Windows laptop. It's not a Windows Mac thing. It's just the actual processor in the computer needs to be strong enough. And I'll throw out a number, like something's called an i7. That's the type of processor. You usually need that. Well, I have the $1,200 Mac. I mean, I know Mac computers are a little more expensive than others. Even if you had a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro, you might have the one with the i3 processor. I know it's very techie stuff, but that's what's limiting you to the virtual background. So all I would get, Tanya, is a physical green screen. You buy it. It's actually, you could put it on a stand or hang it on the wall, and then you can do all the virtual stuff with the green screen.
Oh, got it. And I'm disabled on the chat, so I can't even ask questions. Sorry for interrupting you.
Oh, no, that's okay. It's not an interruption. Not at all. Thank you for the question. And I see Beverly, you're next. You have your hand raised. Make sure you go ahead and unmute yourself. I can see your lovely face.
Okay. Thank you. I could not find the view button. That's what I was trying to ask before. It's not on my screen that I can see.
I see. Well, I'm going to stop the share right now. Just everybody has my contact information. That's the only thing you won't see anymore. I'm going to stop the share and just going to do this to help you, because when there is a screen share in progress, sometimes the screen changes a little bit. But now that there's no screen share and there's just us, Hollywood Squares, gallery view, not, this Brady Bunch, there it is. In the upper right corner, there should be a button that says view. It's
no, I try. Okay, I don't want to hold up the class. I don't have it on either.
Oh, okay. Are you on a Windows? Are you on a Windows computer or are you on a tablet?
I'm on a tablet and an iPhone, and it's not on either one.
Okay, Beverly, here's your answer. There's always an answer. when you're on a mobile device, and I was teaching today, demonstrating as if you're on a computer, you're going to swipe the screen. So when you're on a mobile device, you have to swipe the screen, and you're going to go from speaker view to gallery view when you swipe. And because of the size of the mobile device screen, you cannot see all 54 of us. Look, all of us here, 54 of us together. So you cannot see us all on one screen full. On a mobile device, especially a phone, you have to swipe the screen to see everybody. Yep.
Okay, no, I mean the view button.
Yeah, that's, I'm sorry to interject. The view button does
Okay.
not show up on a tablet. That's why. Thank you for giving me that extra information. Yep.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. This is a wonderful class.
So welcome. I love Zoom. You can see. And Glenn, you've got the virtual background going on. Do you have a question for me?
Oh, yes. I don't have a chat option on mine either. I do have the view. I just couldn't respond with any chat. It's just not there.
That's interesting. That would be a question for, I see that.
It's been disabled.
I see that now. I kept going to Marianne like, oh, we have any questions in the chat? And that was one thing Ethan and I didn't talk about ahead of time. We talked about breakout rooms. These are all settings. It's just a good thing to know that in this account, the meetings settings, you can turn the chat on and off, and the chat was turned off prior to the meeting. So I love how we handled all the questions verbally with people raising their hand. I think that is terrific, actually. If you want to see the chat, then that's just something, you know, we'll set up another time, or you can certainly go into your own Zoom accounts, whether it's free or not. And, you know, you'll have a chat room there if that's something you need to learn and experience. But anyway, thank you for mentioning that. It wasn't something I was looking for. And then I kept going to Marianne, do we have any questions in the chat? And no wonder she was like, nope, because there isn't any chat today. You know, it's technology. So we roll with the punches, and that's the way it is. I love it. I love it because of that. Charlotte, do you have a question for me?
Well, I have a more of a comment. When we went into the breakout room, Marianne and I appeared together. So we were having a little bit of a chat, and I have used Zoom right from the beginning. And I learned a great deal today to help with the process. So hopefully we will be able to make arrangements to bring you back and give us some more information.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, you're welcome. I'm really lucky to have met Marianne a few months ago, and I love Zoom, and I hope that came across today. I also love to teach technology. So I know that in order for you to run your businesses well, that technology is woven into every aspect. I get that. And sometimes it doesn't run as planned, and you have to figure out why, and learning is your key to do that. So I'm really glad that today was helpful in that respect. Thank you so much for that wonderful feedback. And anyone else?
Oh, yes, Betsy. Thank you so much for your professional skill, right? I learned so much from you today. Just a question. Sometimes when I host a meeting and those participants, if I start the meeting first, but they cannot join me, they were into a different Zoom. So I just wondering what happens.
So if they ended up in a different Zoom than you were in?
No, it's a Zoom numbers that's my accounts, that's a Zoom that I send them. But somehow they will have problems. They will Zoom into waiting for me. But actually I was already in the Zoom.
Well, so that scenario can happen. Look, I'm not gonna shine a light on him today, but today Ethan's helping us run this, right? And I joined, and I got a message that said your host is in another meeting. And I'm not pointing the spotlight at you, Ethan, but I am going to use it as a teaching example, because when that happens, when your participant gets a message, your host is in another meeting, that's exactly what happened. I have a link to a meeting ID. It's like a room. It's like a room address. You can think of it that way. So I was sent to a room address. We all were sent here, this room address. Ethan was in another one, and just by accident clicked on a different option. Sometimes I do that because in my application, it's weird how it highlights, I see today's meeting, but it highlights a different one. I don't know. So oftentimes when I'm sitting there waiting for my students or class, whatever I'm teaching, and no one's showing up, I'll go down and I'll look at the meeting ID. Now today I showed you a couple ways that comes up. The green shield shows you the meeting ID that you're in. Like, how would you know right now that you're in the correct meeting ID? So is it Yoon? Yoon, I'll answer your question this way by just saying, if everybody clicks the participant list, here's a good way to tell. Like, if you're sitting there wondering, where are they? Like, they should be here by now. If you go in the participants list at the bottom, now for those of you on a tablet, go into participants and you should have a button that says invite. When you click on invite, you're not going to invite anybody right now, but you get another screen that tells you what meeting ID you're in. And I often do that. And then I look at my email and like, okay, you look at the last 4 digits and I'm like, okay, I'm in 9981. Okay, that's the correct one. So just somehow your participants were sent a different meeting ID number than you started. That's all. And those can get off track in a number of ways. And you and I could have that conversation at another time about why, because it's happened to me too. So I would just double check when you're started the meeting that you're in the meeting ID you want to be in.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much. Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, everybody. Marianne, do you want to wrap up now, it being after the hour?
Sure. Well, I mean, needless to say, I told everybody it was going to be time well spent. Needless to say it was, and we look forward to having you back. Thank you so much. You are in your element. I think everybody learned today, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you so
Betsy.
much, everybody. Thank you.
Marianne,
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, this is Marcia. Unfortunately, I was
Thank you.
driving. I had my hand up, but maybe you didn't see it. I couldn't walk through with the instructions while the webinar was going on. But will this be posted that I can see it again and I can go play around with it?
Yes, and thank you for that. I said it at the beginning, happy to say it again. Yes, the webinar will be posted. Betsy was kind enough to allow us to record, so you can visit lirealtor.com/COVID. And all of our Wednesday webinars are there. We've been offering them since we went remote, and you'll see a ton of them there for you, 67 of them, I think. So it'll be there within a day.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And it was a wonderful webinar. I learned a lot from it. So I'll go back and play around to see what I could do on my own. Thank you. Thank you, Betsy. I appreciate it.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome.
Yes, I appreciate a 3-hour class.
Yeah. Okay, that may be coming, Beverly.
I hope so. Thank you.
Hi, Marianne. Can you repeat again where I should go to find the recording for Wednesday?
www.lirealtor.com/COVID, COVID.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye now.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, you're welcome. Have a good day.